Planet Dolan.
From a stranger admiring your junk to a homeless hitman, the Planet Dolan crew reenacts some of the best true stories from our subreddit about the creepiest things strangers have ever said to us. My name is Nixium, Lord of the Dead, and today I'll be your narrator. Number 10 was submitted by AlexDrakeNoReally. A few weeks after giving birth to her first child, Ramona really needed to get out of the house. She went for a walk and decided she should grab a drink of coffee. While she was waiting in line, the man in front of her suddenly turned around and he looked at her. He leaned in, sniffed the air around her, and he whispered, "I can smell your milk." At that point, Ramona decided just to make coffee at home. Number 9 was submitted by Pingulikesbananas. Honeybits went to school with a boy who didn't talk very much. Since he was always by himself, Honeybits wondered if he was sad. One day during a class field trip, she decided to sit next to him on the bus to see if she could start a conversation. Instead of a normal response, the weird loner boy leaned over and whispered in her ear, "Have you ever watched something die? I have. It's amazing." Honeybits immediately changed seats and never tried to speak to the boy again. Number 8 was submitted by I'm Going In. One time, Hellbent went to a public bathroom to take a leak. As he stood there at the urinal, an old guy came in and stood right next to him. The old guy just kinda looked over at Hellbent and said, "That's so nice. Even after seeing it 27 times, I can't help but be impressed." That was the fastest that Hellbent ever peed in his life. Number 7 was submitted by SheWhoLovesToDraw. When Pandora was 12, she went into a store that sold mystical items, like crystals and potions, and even tarot cards. The owner of the store claimed to be psychic and stared at Pandora as she looked around. When Pandora was leaving, the psychic woman put her hand on her shoulder and said, "Your sister is always with you." Pandora didn't have a sister, so she laughed and thought,
Yeah, right. What a phony.
A few years later, during an intense conversation, though, Pandora's mom accidentally let it slip that Pandora did have a sister once, a twin who had died in the womb. Pandora got a chill down her spine when she realized that the psychic had been right all along. Number 6 was submitted by Typhoon62. One morning when Gurgak was 14, he went to the nearby bus stop to catch a ride to school. While he was waiting, a really rough-looking hooker came over and sat next to him. She was wearing the shortest skirt imaginable, even though it was the middle of winter. She looked at Gurgak, and she asked for the time. Gurgak answered, 6. But this confused her even more. She asked if he meant AM or PM, and Gurgak explained that it was 6 in the morning. They waited for a while in silence, and then the hooker told Gurgak that she was cold and asked if she could have his pants. It was the most eventful wait for a bus that Gurgak ever had. Number 5 was submitted by, Canarandm, Anat3 on Yeah. When Melissa was 9, she used to play hide and seek with her friend outside of her friend's mother's liquor store. One time, while her friend was counting, Melissa decided to hide in a nearby alley. While she was in there, a young homeless woman came out from behind a dumpster. The homeless woman creepily said, "Hey kid, do you want anyone to disappear forever? I'd be glad to help." Melissa raced inside to tell her mom, and together they called the cops. The homeless lady was gone, but she had left a note that said, "I'll come back for you." Number 4 was submitted by Conveniently So. When Zaragamba was younger, he worked in a dead-end retail job where he saw a lot of weird customers. But by far, the creepiest was a seemingly sweet old lady who came in to buy a new toaster. When she got to the counter, she looked Zaragamba in the eyes and was totally transfixed. Zaragamba said,
"That'll be $60, thanks."
but the old lady didn't hear him. Instead, she said, "You have a friendly smile. It reminds me of my grandson's smile before he was killed." Zaragamba laughed nervously and tried to process the sale as quickly as possible. He decided not to try and sell her the extended warranty. Number 3 was submitted by Oarrrkward. Late one night, Ghost Toast and his friends had the munchies, so they decided to grab something from McDonald's all-night drive-thru. As they placed their order, Ghost Toast thought the employee's voice coming through the speaker sounded a bit creepy. They drove to the pickup counter and finally saw the guy they had been speaking to. He had greasy red hair, bags under his eyes, and was twitching like he was on drugs. He handed them their food and said in the creepiest voice ever, "Enjoy the mayonnaise." Ghost Toast couldn't bring himself to eat the food, just in case the weird employee had kinda, added his own secret sauce. Number 2 was submitted by Harajuku Girl. Once Doobie was taking a nice afternoon stroll around the neighborhood. She noticed a woman across the street looking at her, but she didn't think much about it. A few minutes later, the woman had crossed the road and was power walking to catch up to Doopy. When she caught her, she tapped Doopy on the shoulder and enthusiastically said, I think your hair would look wonderful on my wig stand." Doopy didn't even know what to say to that. She was sure it was meant to be an innocent comment, but the woman's enthusiasm and the fact that she crossed the street just to say that really creeped her out. And number 1 was submitted by me. Now, I have my own YouTube channel, and of course, I am involved here on Planet Dolan. It's great. But you see, when you start putting your name out there on the internet, sometimes you get a few creepy people that send you some pretty creepy messages. Pretty much what happened is one guy sent me a private message, and he said, "Hey Nixium, I've been trying to track down where you live for a while now, and I've managed to narrow down the city where you are. Do you by any chance live on this street?" Now, I didn't live on that street, but that street was pretty damn close to where I lived, and it really was creepy. I just replied and told the guy, "No, that's not my street," and to stop looking for me, and I also told him that if he ever does find my house and come to my door, it will be the worst mistake of his entire life. Alright, so a huge thanks to the folks over at our Planet Dolan subreddit for submitting their stories. But we have another question for you. What is the dumbest excuse you have ever heard? Let us know in the Reddit page linked below, and you might be featured in a future countdown.
This video was made possible by our fans over on Patreon. Thanks for your support, guys.
Until next time. See ya!